Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over the brand new poll from Quinnipiac University, a B-rated pollster among likely voters that shows Donald Trump winning the Hispanic vote by 8 points over Kamala Harris. And no, this is not an 8% improvement. This is him literally winning it by 8 percentage points, and this is a general election poll, so don't, get that mixed up. And we're going to be taking a look at the electoral map, especially and a number of these key Sunbelt states in a scenario if Donald Trump were to actually realistically win the Hispanic vote by 8%, how the electoral map would look like based off of key demographics. But before we get started, make sure you guys are subscribed, click the bell so you don't miss on my content, press like button, give this video a thumbs up, share this video if you are interested. Don't forget we have memberships. You can find the links to that in the description section. So this poll is, I would say, decently rated. Obviously, a B is not too bad. Among likely voters, Donald Trump is getting 52% of the Hispanic vote. Keep in mind that Biden had won the Hispanic vote by literally 37 points more than Donald Trump, by like literally 2/3. And now all of a sudden, that's a plus 20 shift towards the right in favor of Donald Trump with the Hispanic vote. So in this scenario, according to this demographic shift, let's just say that with this poll, we're going to be using this poll in this video. Let's just say Trump does win the Hispanic vote by 8%, which is really shocking to basically everyone because no one is expecting Trump to win the Hispanic vote at all. I mean, it could be close or he could make some improvements, but no one is really expecting Donald Trump to actually win that group specifically. And let's just say he does perform slightly better among African American voters. Let's just say he gets close, around 20% of the vote. This is how the electoral map would look like with that alone. But let's just say Kamala Harris does improve among female voters. Obviously, that's going to be a negative impact for Donald Trump because I do think female voters will shift to the left just by a couple points in this election. And let's just say Trump does perform a couple points better among white voters, especially considering that the economy is not doing the best right now. Okay, that's 303 electoral votes in this scenario for Donald Trump to Kamala Harris's 235 based off of the demographics. And Donald Trump wins the popular vote, not only the Electoral College, but he gets 50% nationally, winning the popular vote for the first time since I believe like George W. Bush or something, to Kamala Harris's 49%. And this is how the electoral map comes out. He wins Arizona, he flips Nevada, and also he wins New Mexico in this scenario if he were to win the Hispanic vote by 8 percentage points. These are disastrous, numbers for Kamala Harris. He flips Georgia, which I think is pretty much a gimme at this point. He is more than likely certain to flip that state. Meanwhile, he does lose Michigan, but he still wins Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. So he gets 2 of the Rust Belt states. Keep in mind he only needs 1 if he wins most of the Sun Belt. And he also hangs on to North Carolina as well. Now, one thing is interesting is that not only he flips New Mexico, which is basically the most interesting thing with this plus 8 Hispanic vote for him, also New York is a likely margin. And we actually, we had a poll from, I believe, a week ago in which it showed Kamala Harris only winning the state of New York by a margin of 13 percentage points. And keep in mind that they overestimated Joe Biden's support in this state, but I think 6 points last time. So if you actually apply that polling error, realistically it's only a likely margin, and it will be within single digits for Kamala Harris. And keep in mind, right before Biden had dropped out, he was polling on average 7 to 8 points, a likely margin in the state of New York. Don't forget that. And Trump had a rally here. I do think he can improve on his margins in the Bronx. And if he actually does win the Hispanic vote by 8 points according to this poll, which pretty decently rated, some would argue this is an outlier, but I'm not quite sure. Then he's probably gonna, get New York within single digits. Still not gonna be enough to win. Obviously, Kamala Harris would still win it, but he will do better in the Bronx. And so, with that being said, according to this pollster, if he were to win by 8 points, according to the demographics, if he were to improve among white voters by, let's just say, a couple points, if he were to improve among black voters by, let's just say, 10, getting nearly 20% of that vote, and let's just say he does lose a little bit of support among female, women voters, especially in the suburbs. Let's say Kamala does perform better with that just by a couple points. He still wins the popular vote and surpasses 300 electoral votes, similar to his 2016 margin, and he does flip some blue states like New Mexico and makes New York within a single-digit margin. So he is barely going to hang on to New Mexico if he were to win the popular vote. Colorado, it's still going to go to Kamala Harris by a lean to likely margin, but it's still going to be a whole lot closer. He does make improvements in there, but Colorado is shifting towards the left. This state is actually getting bluer, believe it or not. And Texas is not going to be shifting into the safe red margin, solid red for Donald Trump if he were to win the Hispanic vote by what this poll suggests. And this pollster, keep in mind, is not a far right leaning pollster at all. Like, their bias is clearly not favoring Donald Trump. If you take a look at their track record, they actually overestimated Democrats in the past against Donald Trump in the general election, like in 2020. This is not like Rasmussen. This pollster, you can argue, is actually a left-leaning one, and the number actually may be greater if it's +8 for Donald Trump. And so Florida is also going to be shifting to the solid red column, especially take a look at Miami-Dade County. It went to DeSantis, but it actually flipped from blue to red in the midterms, and DeSantis got nearly 20 points in this state, especially Cuban Americans. And by the way, don't get me wrong. I mean, it really depends on the state. Obviously, Hispanic voters in Florida are going to vote differently from ones in California. For example, I would say, Hispanics from California would vote to the left of ones in Texas. It really depends on the state. Obviously, they don't vote in the same way. It really depends what type of region they are from. For example, like I just mentioned, Florida's probably going to vote to the right of California, as we all know it. But still doesn't matter. Trump's going to, probably win the election by a landslide in this case. Obviously, if he flips New Mexico, then it's going to be a landslide. And also, New York is going to be likely, like I just mentioned, no longer safe for Kamala if this pollster is going to be reality. And also, he's going to win Arizona by, 5 points maybe, a lean to likely margin. He's going to flip Nevada, probably getting Washoe County and having skyrocket turnout in the Vegas area among Hispanic voters. And that's exactly what this pollster suggests. And when you apply that, +8 margin for Donald Trump, like I just did here, winning Hispanics by +8, he's going to get past 300 electoral votes, cracking 50% with the popular vote, winning it for the first time for him. But Kamala Harris still hangs on to Virginia by a lean margin. I don't expect him to win that state. But nonetheless, he is crushing Kamala Harris. And honestly, this poll, I was not expecting it. I don't think I've ever seen Donald Trump winning the Hispanic vote, especially by this margin. And keep in mind, this is a B-rated pollster. Not too bad. These are disastrous numbers for Kamala Harris. And if this is a real numbers, then this very well could be indicating an electoral landslide for the former president. And me personally, in my opinion, I do not expect him to flip New Mexico. I think Kamala Harris would win that by a likely margin. But I mean, this poll, you can argue, is an outlier. But if it's not, then this electoral map is not going to be good for Kamala Harris whatsoever. So 302 to 236, with Trump winning the popular vote by just 1%. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you, believe in this poll, or do you think it's an outlier? Why or why not? One last, final reminder is to subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss on my content. Press the like button, give this video a thumbs up, share this video, and don't forget we do have memberships, so you can find the links to that in the description section. That's pretty much it. Thank you everyone for watching.